It was a cold November evening when Jake, a 22-year-old aspiring YouTuber, decided to take on a challenge that would later become the darkest chapter of his life. His channel was struggling, and he was looking for a way to make it big. He had heard rumors about Black Hollow Road, an infamous stretch of isolated highway that passed through the woods on the outskirts of town. The locals whispered that it was cursed, a place where anyone who ventured too far would encounter something unnatural. But to Jake, it was just another urban legend. His plan was simple: drive down the road, film a bit of eerie footage, and upload it. Easy content for a horror-themed channel. Armed with his camera and a flashlight, he set out alone late at night, dismissing any fears as superstition. Black Hollow Road was the kind of place that gave you an uneasy feeling the moment you turned onto it. The trees loomed overhead, forming a thick canopy that blocked out the moonlight. The air felt heavy, thick with something Jake couldn't explain. He was halfway down the road when the first strange thing happened. His car's radio flickered on, static filling the air, followed by a voice, low, distorted, and garbled, almost as if someone were whispering in the back seat. Jake froze, his heart pounding. He quickly turned the dial to try and get rid of it, but the voice only grew louder. It was saying something, though he couldn't quite make it out. The hairs on his neck stood up. Then, the radio cut off completely, and a deep silence fell over the road. He didn't stop. He didn't turn back. At the far end of the road, there was an old, abandoned farmhouse, the perfect spot for his video. Jake pulled over, grabbed his gear, and headed out into the cold night. As he approached the house, the wind picked up, making the trees creak and groan. It was as if the entire forest was alive, watching him. Inside the farmhouse, the air was stale, and the floorboards creaked under his weight. His flashlight flickered in the darkness, casting long, distorted shadows. He whispered into the camera, trying to stay brave. "This is Black Hollow Road. They say this place is cursed. Let's see if it's true." As Jake walked deeper into the house, he felt a sudden chill that seemed to seep through his bones. His breath came out in visible puffs, as if the temperature had dropped several degrees in an instant. That's when he saw it. A shape, standing at the far end of the hallway. It was tall, impossibly tall, with its back turned to him. The figure was thin, gaunt, its limbs unnaturally long. Its head hung low, as if it were looking at the floor. Jake froze. The camera was still running, capturing everything in silence. Suddenly, the figure turned, its face a twisted, contorted mask of despair. Hollow black eyes stared at him, the empty sockets like portals into something far worse. A grotesque smile slowly spread across its face. Jake wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The air seemed thick, suffocating. He felt something wet drip onto his neck, and when he looked up, the creature was closer, right in front of him. Its cold fingers brushed against his cheek. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished. Jake stumbled backward, heart hammering in his chest. He didn't care about the video anymore. He just wanted out. He turned and ran, but when he reached the door, it wouldn't open. Panic set in. He tried again, his hands shaking, but the door was stuck. It was as if something was holding it shut from the outside. That's when he heard it. A voice, soft at first, whispering in his ear, "You shouldn't have come here, Jake." Jake's stomach dropped. He turned around, but no one was there. His camera, still running, captured every moment. He could hear the faint sound of heavy breathing, like someone was right behind him. But when he looked again, the room was empty. Finally, the door creaked open on its own, and Jake bolted out into the night. He didn't even bother to grab his gear, just running back to his car as fast as his legs would carry him. When he finally got in and slammed the door shut, he looked around, gasping for breath. The road was silent. The radio was off. But when Jake glanced in the rearview mirror, his blood turned to ice. In the back seat, sitting perfectly still, was the same figure he had seen in the farmhouse. its hollow eyes locked onto his through the glass. It was closer than ever. Without thinking, Jake slammed his foot on the gas, speeding away down Black Hollow Road. But as he drove, he noticed something even more horrifying. There was no end to the road, no exit, no turn, just an endless stretch of trees stretching into an abyss. The figure in the back seat had begun to move, slowly, inch by inch, as if it were crawling up the seat toward him. Its hollow eyes never blinked. Jake didn't make it out. The video, which he had uploaded to his channel in an attempt to go viral, was all that remained. The video was taken down almost immediately, but the legend of Black Hollow Road continued to grow. Locals say that anyone who dares to drive down the road and enters the farmhouse will never come back. Some even say that if you watch the video, you'll feel something cold brushing against your neck, just like Jake did. And in the dead of night, if you listen closely, you might hear a whisper,